Hello, this is Mr. Jarrett, and in this video tutorial we are going to be drawing this object. So I do have a note over here on the left side of the activity that says the holes go all the way through. So that's referring to this hole and this hole. It also says to cut the piece off of the top. That would be this. You will need to sketch on the flat surface at the end of the part and then use the extrude cut to cut through it. So that means you can't draw on this angled surface because it would cut down on an angle. That's the most common mistake. People try to draw right on this, it cuts down on an angle. My note says you have to sketch on the flat surface at the end of the part. So that would mean this part. So we're actually going to be sketching up here, but we're going to use the extrude cut to cut all the way through. I'll pull this to my other screen, and in SolidWorks, I'm going to open a new part, and I'll change the units to IPS if they aren't already. And then I can sketch right on my front plane. And it shows that the origin is in the bottom left-hand corner of a rectangle. So I'm going to get my rectangle tool and just draw a large rectangle here. I'm going to reposition my screen so we can see this a little bit better. And I can go ahead and dimension this rectangle. So it is 4 inches long and it is 3/4 of an inch tall. Now you can do this activity several different ways. You could just extrude the rectangle first and then come back and deal with the triangle. Or you could try to draw the triangle now and figure out a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to do it with just the rectangle first because I think a lot of students do it that way. So here I'll go to the Features tab and hit Extrude. And I want to send this thing backwards. And it goes back a total of 1 inch. And hit the green check. Now I can get the sketch tool again, and I'm going to select this flat surface here, the one in the front. You can hit Control 8 on your keyboard to rotate you around. Here I'm going to use the line tool to draw the triangle. You do not want to use the polygon tool because this is not an equilateral triangle. So if you have the line tool, notice I clicked on this bottom line first. I move my mouse up here somewhere. I'll click again. Move my mouse back down to the bottom line and then connect at the very end where you started. Okay. Now here we can go ahead and dimension the bottom of the triangle, and this is 2 inches wide. And from the bottom all the way up to the top of it, the picture shows that it is 1.75 tall. Okay, now I'm going to hit Escape on my keyboard. And in order to get this thing centered, I can simply make these two lines equal to one another. And it will center that up. So this point is always going to be right up over the middle of this midpoint, which is another way of doing it. Some people will select the midpoint and this top and make them vertical. You can do that as well. But now you notice this thing can still slide. So the picture also shows that from the bottom right-hand dot, this far right line, that is a total of 1 inch. Okay, so don't forget to put that in there. Now I'm going to go to the Features tab and hit Extrude. And I'm going to kind of rotate my screen so I can see what I'm doing here. You can simply just click and hold on the scroll mouse or the scroll wheel on your mouse to rotate. And this part comes forward 0.25, but I'm going to stop right there and I'm not going to just finish this extrusion. I'm actually going to do the back half of it at the same time. So you notice this is direction 1. Well, there's another button down here. If you check that box, that opens up and you can actually go backwards as well for direction 2. So since the entire thing, the rectangle portion is 1 inch, and this also hangs out 1/4 of an inch, I'm going to extrude back 1.25. So that's how I'm getting this next number. So we came forward 0.25 and we went backwards 1.25. Okay, as you can see, it's now equal on both sides. And then I'll hit the green check All right, so now I have my basic shape done. Now I need to cut my holes in. So I'll make a sketch up on top of this rectangle. So I got the sketch tool and I'm going to click up on top. And once again, you can hit Control 8 to rotate yourself around. Draw your circles in here. So get the circle tool, make 2 circles. I'm going to select both circles by holding in Shift and set them to equal. I'll also click the middle of the circle, so the center point of each circle, and I'm going to make those horizontal. Okay, so now they're always going to be lined up with one another. If I move one up, the other one moves. Okay, now I can go ahead and start dimensioning these, and it shows that both of these holes are a 1/2 inch in diameter, okay, and they are a 1/2 inch in from the one side, 0.5, and a 1/2 inch from the back. So this one is good, but this one still needs the 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. So click on your circle on the outside. It's going to be a 1/2 inch. Okay, and notice this is the only one that I needed to do here. I didn't need to do the up and down, meaning this one here, because I made them horizontal with one another. It can't move up and down if this one is stuck in place. So now I can go over to the Features tab, hit Extrude Cut, and we can change this from blind to through all. And you'll notice that's going to go through all of it. So I can hit the green check. Now it's cut right down through. And then to the part where I gave you that note. Remember I said you cannot sketch on this angled face. So you need to get the sketch tool and select the end of it. So this flat piece way out here. Okay. Then you can hit Control 8 so it rotates you around. And now we can simply just make a box. So I got my rectangle tool. I made a little box here. And dimensioning it, it says it is a 1/2 inch wide. It's a 1/2 inch from the back of the piece. And it's a 1/2 inch tall. So that's pretty easy. Now you notice here you actually are kind of sketching in midair. You're floating up here. But when we go to the Features tab and Extruded Cut, we can select through all. So change it from blind to through all. And you notice here it's cutting out straight. And it'll cut through the whole entire triangle. Hit the green check. And there's your shape. So let's change our material. This is alloy steel, not cast alloy steel. It's just normal alloy steel. We're going to have to go into the Edit Material folder. And you want to find plain alloy steel, not the SS, just the plain one. Hit Apply and Close. Go to Evaluate and Mass Properties. And we should get a mass property of 1.14 pounds. So if you got that, you can save this as the assignment name and move on to the next assignment. If you didn't, you're going to have to go back into one of your sketches or your extrusions and try to edit this and problem solve until you get the correct answer.